Appeals rules on the right to record police. And we take you on a tour of NASA's latest cosmic slideshow.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A federal judge affirms the right to record video of law enforcement on the job. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. A court of appeals ruling that the First Amendment gives bystanders the right to record police officers while out in the field working. The 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, that also oversees Kansas and Oklahoma, ruled it is well within our First Amendment rights. This is in response to a 2019 case where a YouTube blogger claimed a Denver suburb police officer kept him from recording a traffic stop.
A lot of those interactions where an officer is either blocking that or they make an arrest like that, a lot of times to me that's the officer not being educated on or trained on how to handle that situation. So, you know, the officers, if they're trained properly and they know, like I said, it's okay to record.
You can find more information on the ruling on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, a number of Oklahoma school districts are enforcing a new state law that requires students to submit a biological sex affidavit to participate in school sports. The bill coincides with the Save the Women's Sports Act. Governor Kevin Stitt signed the bill in March. In Northeast Oklahoma, schools are getting the word out to their communities, but the response has been less than positive.
There was a separation of church and state for a reason. Their views have no business in our school system. Their view of the choice that these kids have made. And it's not a choice. These kids are born this way.
5 decades of Title IX is going to be very quickly undone if we allow just a few biological males to come in and start taking the medals and taking the ribbons.
Oklahoma House Bill 4245 was first introduced by Republican representatives in January. Well, we got a break from the heat yesterday, but that doesn't seem to be the case today.
No, the heat is definitely back on. Now, I was outside, and it's hard for me to tell. I'm going to be honest, because the thermostat in the studio, because of the lights, is kept at Arctic tundra all day. And so I was in here freezing. I stepped outside to warm up, and I don't warm up very easily. And so to me, it felt pretty nice. But I do know that for some, it may be a little bit on the warm side. Skywatch Storm Tracker yesterday lit up. Not today, though. It's pretty dull and dry. You got to zoom out. We actually have a nice big opening right about where we are, where there's no expected thunderstorm activity at all around us, just not right where we are. Temperatures at this noon hour are sitting in the lower 80s. We've even got mid to upper 80s in some locations out there. And as we progress through the day and into the night, we are going to hit a high in the lower 90s, so it's going to warm up. We're looking at heat index values maybe 2 or 3 degrees above that, so it shouldn't be too muggy yet, but that's going to change a little bit. As we go through the night, temperatures are going to drop off into the lower 70s by midnight. All of us heading for overnight lows in the upper 60s, so a few degrees warmer than where we started our day today, but still not bad considering where we are and the fact it's like the middle of July. But there are changes on the way within the next, say 24 hours, and we'll go over all of them here in a few minutes.
All right. Sounds like we've got a lot to discuss.
It's not good news, unfortunately, but there's something to tell you. There's some things to cover.
Just keep it under 100. Can you do that for me?
I'm going to have to leave the building then, Tanya, because I cannot. I tried.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, never seen before images of the police response to the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas are now public. Hallway surveillance video shows how officers stood by and failed to engage the gunman as teachers and children were critically injured down the hall, despite multiple calls for help. Police continue waiting in the hall for almost 20 minutes, and as dozens of officers from 7 different agencies arrive. The video shows law enforcement finally breaching the classroom and killing the gunman an hour and 17 minutes after he entered the school. Well, whether you're a space nerd or a casual stargazer, you have to admit NASA's new collection of deep space photos is astonishing. They come from the agency's James Webb Space Telescope, which is designed to look back almost to the dawn of time. And it's helping answer some big questions about how our universe was created. Mark Strassman shares the cosmic slideshow.
Daunting in scale, 7,600 light years away from Earth, the Webb Space Telescope's jaw-dropping image of the Carina Nebula details stellar birth in our own galaxy and dazzles NASA astrophysicist Amber Strawn.
Every dot of light we see here is an individual star, not unlike our sun, and many of these likely also have planets. And it just reminds me that, our sun and our planets and ultimately us were formed out of the same kind of stuff that we see here.
This image shows stellar death in the Southern Ring Nebula. A yawning cloud of gas and dust reveals a fading star, part of the universe's life cycle. Webb's power and promise, time travel. This pinprick of light flashed more than 13 billion years ago.
And by going just a few 100 million years farther back in time with Webb, we want to see toddler galaxies and infant galaxies, things that are just forming.
Were you blown away?
Absolutely. They're fantastic, and they include something that is a deeper infrared image than has ever been taken in history.
Compare. Here's the Hubble's image of the Carina Nebula, and one more look at the Webb's.
And liftoff. From a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself, James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
This engineering marvel launched last Christmas. Unfolding 1 million miles from Earth, 18 gold-plated hexagonal segments form a giant mirror. A sun shield the size of a tennis court blocks the sun's heat from blinding Webb. The result, ageless clarity, like the 5 galaxies in this image called Stephan's Quintet. The first images astounded NASA Administrator Bill Nelson.
It's almost a spiritual experience because you realize that there was a beginning and we have come from that beginning.
Deep space may answer deep questions, as Amber Strawn told us last December.
They're more than just arcane science questions. They sort of get to the heart of what it means to be human.
It really is something, this cosmic reach back to when stars first lit up. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, how a post-pandemic travel surge is creating a backlog at European airports. And later, we're making cucumber ranch bites in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Well, this summer's dramatic jump in air travel has caused backlogs at airports all over the world. And now one of the hardest hit, London Heathrow, is limiting how many passengers can leave every day. That's likely to cause problems for thousands of tourists. Remy Insoniso shows us how big cutbacks during the pandemic have left airlines and airports struggling to handle the load.
Slow, snaking lines at Heathrow immigration and rows of abandoned luggage. Brits are rushing back to the skies after 2 years of COVID stasis. Simon Calder is a British aviation expert.
And of course, the airlines want to make as much money as they possibly can. But unfortunately, while they're taking the bookings, they're not making sure that they've got the resources to get people where they need to be.
Those resources are employees. Many laid off during COVID, many jobs still unfilled.
Getting an aircraft into the air requires 20 different skilled individuals. Unfortunately, of those 20, half a dozen of them are off doing something else.
Not just in the UK, but across Europe, pilots and airport staff striking for better pay, leading to British Airways cutting nearly 30,000 flights come this August, Scandinavian Air Systems filing for bankruptcy protection in the US, and more European airlines facing walkouts. But if you can handle the hassle at departure, you might have a happy surprise on arrival for your next European getaway.
Asia, but particularly China, simply isn't travelling abroad. The number of visitors from the US isn't going to be anything like the usual numbers.
And who doesn't want just a little more of Europe all to themselves, right? But the cancellations and the mad crush of people are set to continue through October, November, even longer, say experts, with more strikes expected even next week. Ramian Asensio, CBS News, London.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Cucumbers are in abundance, so join us as we whip up all sorts of favorites with them.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Well, if you remember yesterday, we were seeing rain. So it started in the north, moved through the south, and then eventually broke up and moved out. So that's why today, especially in the orange, it feels a lot warmer now than it did yesterday, because by this time yesterday, we were still socked in with cloud cover and some scattered showers. So it's a lot warmer down here, but compared to Iola and Fort Scott, where they started the day cool, the sun came out faster, so they're not much warmer now than what they were at this time yesterday, because they got the sunshine early. And that sun is in abundance at 7th and Range Line. It's 87, and it feels like 86 because dew point and humidity are so low. So that's why I was saying heat index values today, not necessarily going to be an issue whatsoever, although it is warm, and it is warmer than yesterday. Most of us are sitting in the mid to upper 80s, and we've even got some 90s in northeast Oklahoma. And it's going to get just a pinch warmer from that. So Skywatch Storm Tracker yesterday had a lot to show. Today, not so much to show. As a matter of fact, we've got this clearing right on top of us where some scattered thunderstorms could be anywhere in this zone, but not where we are. So we're going to stay high and dry. And the good news is no further advisories or any alerts like that. So let's head into the next 24 hours as we get into the overnight temperatures by 10 at 78, cooling off into the lower 70s. We may even reach the upper 60s for most of us. And then tomorrow the sun will return, and tomorrow it will start to warm up big time once again, thanks to this ridge of high pressure. So where we are going to be is we head into tomorrow with those temperatures across the board. Take a look at this. 95 Chanute and Nevada, 97 Joplin. The heat returns with only a few passing clouds overhead. So let's talk about the rest of today. Highs in the lower 90s, but not bad, and a nice light northeast breeze. So that's why I said when I went out earlier, it felt pretty good. At least I thought so. Compared to what we have seen, it wasn't bad. Temperatures dropping off into the lower 70s and upper 60s, and the wind will become calm. And then we get into the 7-day forecast. So this is what I was telling Tanya about. She asked if we could, she asked very nicely if we could get temperatures below 100, and we can't. It's the middle of July, I'm sorry. So here's what we do have though. So avert your eyes, pretend you don't see it. That's the best way to go about it. So we head through the week. It's gonna really warm up. 96 Thursday, 98 Friday, 100 on Saturday, maybe even a pinch warmer, sorry to say. A little bit cooler on Sunday at 93, and then we warm back up to start the next week. But I did want to point out a couple of things. One, as the heat increases, so do some thunderstorm chances as we head into the weekend. Naturally, it's the weekend when we're all wanting to have fun. But we also have these nice temperatures for overnight lows. So even though it's going to get hot by day, you can at least give your AC a little bit of a break as we head into the overnight hours and try and let it catch up before the July temperatures make a stunning comeback.
Well, I suppose we can handle it one day, but does it have to be Saturday, the day when we get some free time to do stuff?
Well, of course, it's got to be really hot. That way, you don't overexert yourself. We wouldn't want you to have too much fun.
All right.
You've got to have limited fun.
That just means everyone needs to find something cool to do indoors.
Yeah, maybe a couple minutes outside and then back inside.
There you go. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's fourth state hero, Lieutenant Colonel William Sullivan in the U.S. Army. Pittsburgh native, joined the 278th Regimental Combat Team in 1991. He later served with the Kansas Army National Guard. Sullivan earned a number of honors, among them the National Defense Service Medal with Bronze Stars, the Iraqi Campaign Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Medal, and the Kansas National Guard Distinguished Service Medal. To William Sullivan, we thank you, our fourth state hero. Looking for a bite-sized idea for your next garden party or backyard bash? How about a tasty treat that doesn't require you to turn the oven on? Howard shows us how to make cucumber ranch bites in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
This time of year, our markets and farm stands are bursting with an abundance of fresh produce. And that means it's time that we get creative. So I picked up a bunch of cukes and brought them back here to the test kitchen, and we went to town. First, we made our crisp cucumber salad that is the perfect summer side dish no matter what you're serving. And if you've never had homemade tzatziki sauce, which is a Greek-style cucumber and yogurt sauce, are you missing out? It's just as good on a hero as it is on a salad. And one of my new favorites, bite-sized cucumber and cheese bites. To make them, all we do is cut cukes that we scored with a fork into half-inch slices and top each one with anything from store-bought hummus to one of those herb cheese spreads. My favorite topping, though, is where we mix cream cheese and mayonnaise together, along with some ranch seasoning and chopped chives. The results are perfect little bites that are both adult and kid-friendly. To get the recipe for our cucumber ranch bites, as well as all of the other recipes I shared with you, simply go to our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found fresh from the garden way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Oh, that does look good. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Taking a look at that 7-day forecast, head for an afternoon high in the low 90s for most of us today, but low humidity, so it won't feel too terrible. But humidity creeps in, heat creeps in, pushing 100 by the weekend. But we do have some increasing storm chances to try and balance out those temperatures a little bit.
It'd be nice to get some more rain.
Yeah, it would for sure. All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a new option in vision correction is now available. United States and Health Watch, we're going to take a look at that new procedure. Plus, we hear from a local man who says he's denied a vasectomy because of his age and lack of children. And Special Olympics is hosting its regional bowling competition in Pittsburgh this week. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.